Well, it's all been building to this. Episodes 7 to 9 of Andor, the final payoff of Tony Gilroy's glacial pace. Could it work? Could it be worth the slow burn? The breathtaking tragedy of the fall of Ghorman. The rising tension of spy versus spy and Imperial dastardliness. A lot was riding on these episodes. If you have been watching this show, you've invested a lot of time in some slow pacing, a lot of setup. Was there a payoff? Well, the answer is yes. And not just yes, an emphatic yes. This is Star Wars at its most haunting and maybe its most human in a long time. This is my review of Andor episodes 7 to 9. I am Captain Garrett of the Swords of Starships channel, where our continuing mission is to inspire bold characters, beautiful worlds, and truth in art. Take it away. The most common critique I hear of Star Wars Andor is that it's bleak, too hopeless. It doesn't feel like the swashbuckling adventure that Star Wars should be. It should be, pew-pew, laser guns, lightsabers, all that good stuff. And I don't disagree. Star Wars should have all those things, but is there not room for something a little different? What's great about Andor is it gives us subtle, intricate spy games. Everything has to be done with care. This planet, Ghorman, this heart of the Empire that has all this political clout, has been slowly eroded and destroyed by a political propaganda campaign over the course of a year. Why? Because they need to mine the planet to death to get the crystal under its surface to build the Death Star. Now, they don't tell the public this, and almost none of the characters even know this, but they need it. So there's no Jedi, there's no lightsabers, there's no prophecies of chosen ones, there's no hope. This is ordinary people that are trapped under a merciless, vast, unstoppable machine. And I get it. If this were the whole Star Wars galaxy, I wouldn't love it either. I think it would be too dark, too gritty, too hyper-real. What works about Andor is that it's a niche story. It's a war story. It's a cautionary tale of authoritarian rule nestled inside the mythos. Everything that's happened in the show builds up to this one episode where we watch the kind of slow, inevitable destruction of Ghorman. The Empire has set up a trap. They couldn't just take the planet by force, so they have deliberately created a resistance on the planet. They fed the resistance secretly. They've helped them gain confidence, deliberately persecuted this planet and humiliated them in front of the galaxy so much and so painfully, they have no choice but to demonstrate. In the shadow of the Imperial security building, you have this courtyard where all of these Ghormani people are going to protest. And the Empire decides to deliberately let the people in to create a situation that's going to explode and create a false flag operation. Meanwhile, you have Andor, who's been sent to the planet to assassinate Dedra, the ISB agent. I would say one of the things that's most chilling about this episode is how cold and methodical the Imperial Security Bureau is. You have Partagaz, the leader, who he is absolutely the banality of evil. He is a sharp and intelligent desk worker who is carefully executing a giant web of lies to justify a genocide. Dedra, who is starting to have second thoughts, but she's in too far, she can't get out. And then you have this Imperial enforcer, Captain Cato, and his job is to execute the false flag. And there's a really chilling line where she asks him what his tactical ideas are, and he says,
"What I want is a comfortable ride home. But let's not confuse the chain of command. I'm the trigger supervisor, you're the finger."
And it's so ruthless, it's so mercenary. But then you have Cyril, who's the Imperial cop who's risen through the ranks, and he thought he was on the right side of history, and now he's finding out that this woman he loves, Dedra, has been lying to him, and that really this was the plan all along. And when you think about it, it really fits with the lore of the prequels, because this is what Palpatine does. He creates a situation that is false on both sides so he can create the conditions he needs to get what he wants. You watch this kind of slow train wreck of just horror and destruction. It comes across as incredibly real, incredibly visceral. You get the feeling that, yes, these kinds of things absolutely happened under the Empire. It's this kind of backstory to all the horror that built up to the Battle of Yavin, and I was completely immersed. I was completely glued to it. You have these K2 robots in this terrifying scene just slaughtering people left and right. Essentially, the murder of this planet. It's horrifying, and it's brilliant. And it really fits with a lot of actual atrocities in human history, such as the pogroms in Germany or the rape of Nanking, Holodomor, the Ukraine famine enforced by Stalin. I mean, this is exactly how these things unfold. So there's such a reality and a visceral authenticity to it. In the final episode, episode 9, Mon Mothma, who gives this passionate speech in the Senate condemning, she basically calls out Palpatine, condemns this genocide, and she knows that's it for her. She has to escape. They're literally going to arrest her immediately. Finally, Andor actually has a mission that's great for Andor. He has to extract her from the Senate, and it results in a scene where he is just her bodyguard, but she's kind of shocked and horrified by the things he does to protect her, because he uses distraction and subterfuge to ambush people and kill them. He shoots first. He doesn't even bother finding out if someone really is a threat or not. If he thinks they are, he guns them down. It's impressive. It's a really impressive scene. Gee, I wonder why we didn't get that earlier. So at the end of the day, Andor answers a question that's haunted me for years. What would life really be like under the Empire when there was no hope? The evil here isn't cackling or cartoonish. It's banal and bureaucratic, efficient even. The heroes are just as mundane. There's no prophecies. There's no magic wisdom. There's no lightsaber. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things. I'm just saying, what would it be like for the people who don't have those things? They don't have wise Jedi mentors to tell them that they're destined for greatness or that the Force is with them. These are people that are desperate, and they're up against something that, by all appearances, is undefeatable. That's exactly what makes the eventual arrival of Luke, Han, and Leia feel like such a miracle. So you could say the buildup of Andor was slow, but when the Empire is this cold, this methodical, this unstoppable, even thinking about resisting them feels dangerous. And that's the key. I was watching this show, and I remember, like, even on some of the slower parts, I literally felt on the edge of my seat when I was just watching these characters plan a resistance, because the show built up the Empire as so lethal, so cold-blooded, so efficient, and so intelligent. And you must have an enemy that is like that to create real stakes. The fall of Ghorman shows us what's at stake if Luke Skywalker doesn't take up the quest, if he misses that shot, if Obi-Wan fails to keep him hidden for all these years. And Andor shows us what it took to deliver that one chance that Luke Skywalker had to possibly save freedom. It reminds us why we needed a rebellion in the first place. So I loved these 3 episodes. Now, I will say Mon Mothma's speech was a little bit weak. It was mostly platitudes. That kind of sucked. So it's not a perfect show. I know it's a bit of a hot take these days. I mean, it's pretty evenly divided. A lot of the reviewers I follow sort of love it. Look, I didn't know what I was going to think of this show. Like, I told you the first 3 episodes I thought were terrible, and I stand by that. But it did lay some setup that I'm just telling you, like, I was just gripped by this show from episode 4 on. I just couldn't put it down. Wait till you see my next review, because I totally understand and sympathize with any reasons people don't like the show. I just love the idea of seeing the Empire at its worst and the galaxy at its kind of most hopeless, because it really does build up how grand and just miraculous Luke's story is. I honestly, if every effort Disney made was on this level, it would be a very different story. It really would. And I think that phrase that Elon Musk uses is very appropriate, which is caring and competence. And I think that's all we've ever wanted as fans. Is like, if you're going to adapt this story, show some caring and some competence. 9 out of 10 for these 3 episodes. That'll be 9 bars on the epaulets. And if you liked this review, please put a like on the video. Please subscribe. I am Captain Garrett of the Swords and Starships channel. And until next time, I will see you out there.
Please mark this message and pass it forward. The Empire builds this fire and led it to the slaughter. Is there no one who can help us?
Remember this day. Remember Ghorman. It's my people today and yours tomorrow.
What took place yesterday was unprovoked genocide.